Welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Melody, and here are today's reports. Part 3 of Union Accord successfully signed at 4th session of Union Peace Conference. MPC hands over book on media guidelines to UEC. Curbing the spread of COVID-19 in Rakhine State, challenge to prevent the second wave. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the featured local news for today. According to a virtual meeting on Sunday, the Union Enterprise for Humanitarian Assistance, Resettlement and Development's Healthcare Task Force will join in hands in the government's fight against coronavirus in Rakhine State. The UEHRD committee organized the meeting online with its Healthcare Task Force, calling on the task force cooperation in coronavirus fight in Rakhine State. Speaking at the meeting, UEHRD Vice Chairperson 1 and Union Minister for Social Welfare Relief and Resettlement, Dr. Wimya A, said that the UEHRD was formed to help the victims of conflicts in Rakhine State. He said UEHRD Healthcare Task Force to work together with the government and the Ministry of Health and Sports in providing assistances of hospital beds and healthcare works that need to be increased for healthcare process. He called for the Healthcare Task Force to coordinate with relevant departments to fulfill the requirements of volunteers and to cooperate with other UEHRD task forces. The meeting discussed matters related to selecting in charge of coordination for Rakhine State's ground situation and planning for fast implementation, and that the Healthcare Task Force will implement the works with separate funds. Medical professionals who will volunteer for fighting against COVID-19 arrived in Sittwe, Rakhine State by a special flight of Myanmar National Airlines on Sunday morning. Those doctors and nurses were welcomed by Rakhine State Social Affairs Minister Dr. Chen Ta, Head of State Public Health and Medical Services Department. The volunteer team included a Deputy Head of State Public Health and Medical Services Department, a specialist for medicine, 19 assistant doctors, and 3 nurses. The special flight also brought medicine and medical equipment with volunteer medical team for prevention, control, and treatment of COVID-19. According to the Myanmar Police Force, police seized 1 kilogram of ice worth more than 76 million jets in a DHL parcel intended to be sent to the Philippines on Wednesday. A Nigerian national has been arrested for the drug case, and 3 other Nigerian nationals have been arrested for illegally remaining in Myanmar with expired visas, after suspicious staff at the DHL office in Line Township in Yangon on Wednesday informed the police about a parcel they suspected to consist of illegal drugs. The police went to the office and questioned 3 Myanmar nationals who came to the DHL office to send the parcel to Philippines. When the police inspected the parcel, they found 1 kilogram of ice in wheels of a car for a kid. After further investigations, the police in Dagomildet Seikan Township in Yangon could arrest a Nigerian national who commanded the Myanmar nationals to send the parcel. Police also raided the house where the Nigerian national stayed and found that 3 other Nigerian nationals illegally stayed in Myanmar after their visas had expired, and they will also be charged under the Myanmar Immigration Act. And I believe it's time now for our first report. The representatives of the government, Luto, Temuro, NCAs, EAOs, and political parties signed the Part 3 of the Union Accord at the final day of the 4th session of Union Peace Conference 21st Century Belong. The Part 3 of Union Accord is comprised of 3 frameworks for implementation of NCA, peace processes beyond 2020, and principles to establish a democratic federal union.
Myanmar successfully signed a Part 3 of the Union Accord at the 4th session of the Union Peace Conference, held from 19 to 21st August at Myanmar International Convention Center 2 in Naypyidaw. The attendees were Chairperson of National Reconciliation and Peace Center (NRPC) State Councilor Aung San Suu Kyi, Vice Chairperson of NRPC, Union Ministers, Naypyidaw Council Chairman, senior Tamil officers and officials, the representatives from the government, the Ludo and Tamil, leaders and representatives of NCA signatories EAOs, representatives of political parties, and invited guests. Nahendra chaired the third day of the conference together with a delegation including Lieutenant General Yapye, Utuntun U, Kumang Dang, and Do Yin Mei. First, Chairman Nahendra made an opening speech emphasizing the end of 70-year armed conflicts and the establishment of a democratic federal union.
ပြည်ထောင်စုငြိမ်းချမ်းရေးညီလာခံ21ရာစုပင်လုံစတုတ္ထအစည်းအဝေးကရရှိခဲ့တဲ့ပြည်ထောင်စုသဘောတူစာချုပ်အစိတ်အပိုင်း3ရဲ့ဥတီချက်ဟာ
The objective of the Part 3 of the Union Accord is the important initial step for a democratic federal union. At the same time, more friendly and transparent discussions could be made on the issues of state constitutions and parliament. Being the leaders and representatives of our respective organizations, we are fully responsible to solve the conflicts happening at the time being in order to build a peaceful and developed federal union.
The members of the Secretariat of the Union Peace Dialogue Joint Committee then submitted the proposals for the Part 3 of the Union Accord. The Part 3 of the Union Accord includes a framework to implement the Nationwide Ceasefire Agreement (NCA), a framework for implementation of various processes beyond 2020, and basic principles to establish a democratic federal union. The representatives of the government, the Ludo, the Tamil, NCA signatories EAOs, and the political parties supported the proposals. After the chairman of the conference had announced the approval for Part 3 of the Union Accord, representatives of the government, Ludo, Tamil, NCA signed EAOs, and political parties signed the Part 3 of the Union Accord. After signing the document, it was presented to Chairman Nahendra. Then, State Councilor Aung San Suu Kyi delivered the speech of thanks for the peace agreements.
ဒီကနေ့ချုပ်ဆိုတဲ့ပြည်ထောင်စုသဘောတူစာချုပ်အစိတ်ပိုင်း3ဟာပြီးခဲ့တဲ့ပြည်ထောင်စုသဘောတူစာချုပ်တွေတဲ့ပုံမထူးခြားပုံမလေးနဲ့ပြည်ပုံမအနှစ်သာရပြည့်ဝတဲ့စာချုပ်ဖြစ်
Part 3 of the Union Accord, which we signed today, is more significant, deeper in meaning than the previous ones, and is full of essence. In Part 1 of this agreement, we were able to provide a path and a door for solving problems of understanding and difficulties during the NCA implementation. In Part 2, we were able to find work programs for establishing the union step by step as we successfully negotiated to implement the 51 basic principles, which all of us have agreed upon as needed. The Part 3 of the agreement portrays with basic guiding principles the type union we want to see emerge. Today, at this time, no one can doubt that our country, our union, is going to be established as a democratic federal union. 21st century, Penlong was able to seek out commonalities among differences and unity among opposite tendencies. This has been signed by leaders of various groups in front of the representatives attending this conference and witnesses. This will go down in the annals of history.
After Lieutenant General Yapye, the presiding member of the conference, made the concluding remark of the conference, the three-day conference of Union Peace Conference 21st Century Penlong successfully came to an end with the agreement of Part 3 for Union Accord.
That's the report on Part 3 of Union Accord successfully signed at the fourth session of Union Peace Conference. With the aim to help the upcoming general election in imparting news and information to the public, Myanmar Press Council has produced media guideline books for the upcoming election. And Myanmar Press Council gave 1,000 media guideline books to Union Election Commission in Naypyidaw. Willinson has the full report.
The role of media is such an important area for the general election, which is set to be held on 8th of November, as media is the fourth pillar of a nation. The media is an essential tool for reporting the accurate information between the government and civilians, As today is the era of social media and internet, anyone can post anything on social media and other platforms which may not be true and undermine the rule of law. Therefore, with the aim to encounter misinformation and other false activities, Myanmar Press Council produced a handbook on media guidelines necessary for the upcoming general election, where the media are to present the accurate and correct information without any partiality. The handover ceremony of this media guideline books was held on 28th of August at the office of Union Election Commission in Naypyidaw, and it was attended by U Thla Thing, the chairman of Union Election Commission, U Aung Jain, the chairman of Myanmar Press Council, and other responsible persons from both Union Election Commission and Myanmar Press Council. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, U Thla Thing, the chairman of Union Election Commission, said,
Just by seeing what is written in this media code of ethic, I really value the quality of this book. It is written here that in presenting the news regarding the general election and other related news, the media must be just where equality and impartiality. The word itself is quite strong and valuable. One of the reasons why we have today false news and fake news is we fail to follow this rule. I have nothing to say here, as media and news is not my field. I am sure the chairman of MPC and its representatives have written clearly the best guidebooks out of their own experiences. We are deeply grateful for helping hand offered to us by producing media guidebooks on the upcoming general election. And I'm also sure that the media will follow this guidebook so that this election will bring better outcomes than we expect.
U Aung Jain, the chairman of Myanmar Press Council, also spoke at the event, and he said,
The reason for coming here today to Union Election Commission is, as Myanmar Press Council, we want to make sure that we, the media, know what is right, follow the media code of ethic, in short, knowing do's and don'ts, and follow them strictly, which we have been working on. We had already produced 2 media guidelines books in the past. Once in 2011 general election and another in 2015 general election. We have also collaborated with UNESCO and international media support, where we exchange the idea and information on how other countries conduct their election, which we have very little information from our side. But as the chairman of UEC has mentioned that there may be some groups who target UEC and accuse it, but sometimes we are just like the referee in a football match, getting criticism sometimes just because one team has lost the match. But no matter what, the referee needs to perform his duty until the end.
The chairman of Union Election Commission has stated that UEC has nothing to do with whoever wins in the election and whoever loses. It is the public who decide who is to win. Therefore, anyone or any group of people shall not blame UEC for the results of the election. MPC handed 1,000 guidelines books to UEC.
That's the report on MPC hands over book on media guidelines to UEC. Moving on to the third report. Rakhine State is facing with the COVID-19 local transmissions, which is fast to spread among the residents. The National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control, and Treatment of COVID-19, the Ministry of Health and Sports, and the local authorities are striving to curb the spread of COVID-19 within the state and to contain the local transmission not to spread to other regions and states.
The fear of COVID-19 second wave emerged as the locally transmitted case was found in Sidri of Rakhine State on 16th of August. The transmission is so fast among the residents as 62 new patients were found within 9 days from 16 to the morning of 24th August in Rakhine State. With the alert second wave of infection, a stay-at-home order was imposed on Sidri Township on 20th of August. Dr. Danaiso, Director of Health Knowledge Promotion Division of the Ministry of Health and Sports, said,
Currently at Sidway, some positive patients can be traced the infection cause, but some cannot be traced from where they are infected. One thing for sure is that the virus has already spread among the residents. The Ministry of Health and Sports has already imposed stay-at-home order on Sidway Township. During this period, the most important thing is for the residents to stay at home and follow the health guidelines. As part of the performance of the Ministry of Health and Sports, we reinforce the human resources for providing treatment. COVID-19 testing is being conducted at Sidway General Hospital by the use of GenExpert machines, and the capacity of testing is around 80 to 100 in a day. We are also supporting necessary test kits. Moreover, the necessary protective items are supported to the fullest amount.
The contact tracing is accelerated and the contact persons with the positive patients are put into quarantine. Wu Wenmin, Minister of Municipal Affairs of Rakhine State Government, also spoke to MI Radio.
The positive patients are currently undergoing medical treatment at the hospital, and the contact persons are being put into facility quarantine and hotel quarantine. Nasal swabs are tested, schools have been temporarily closed, and at the market, only food shops are allowed to open. The important issue to cure the spread of the virus is the citizens to follow the health guidelines released by the Ministry of Health and Sports. Sidway has been imposed stay-at-home order, so they have to stay inside as much as possible. If the residents have to necessarily go out, they will have to definitely follow the health guidelines. If someone fails to follow the health regulations, we will further work for taking actions.
Going outside from 9 p.m. at night to 4 a.m. in the morning is banned. The transportation routes are closed, including land, air, and water. Along with the move of the authorities, the participation of the citizens is urgently requested in order to contain the spread of the virus. U Tong-Angzo, member of Policy Affairs Leading Committee of Rakhine National Party, said,
More effective public awareness is required. The public awareness is being carried out by announcing necessary regulations with the use of loudspeaker. The markets are managed to open only in the morning. Some streets and roads where the positive patients are found have been in semi-lockdown. One of the positive patients is a shopkeeper, and more affected patients will come out more soon.
According to Dr. Myanmar Today, Union Minister for Health and Sports, the Medical Research Department will examine the gene of the virus as it mutates, and the ministry also cooperates with the Rakhine State Government, Social Affairs Minister, Head of Public Health and Medical Service of Rakhine State to control the disease in the state, as well as to prevent the spread of the disease to other regions. Until 8 a.m. on 24th August, there are 463 confirmed cases in Myanmar, including 341 recoveries and 6 fatalities, according to the data released by the Ministry of Health and Sports.
That's the report on curbing the spread of COVID-19 in Rakhine State, challenge to prevent the second wave. Now to international news. Local media reported Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on Monday returned to a hospital in Tokyo a week after he purportedly received a health checkup, amid swirling rumors about the state of his health. Government sources close to the Prime Minister told local media that Abe has returned to the Keio University Hospital to receive the results of the medical checks conducted during the more than 7-hour regular checkup a week prior. Abe's admission to hospital last week came a day after former Economy Minister Akira Amari told a TV program that the Prime Minister needs to rest, that he may be suffering from exhaustion. The deadly California wildfires have burned over 1 million acres, and there's no end in sight as thousands of firefighters struggle to contain the blazes and more emerge. California Fire spokesman Steve Kaufman said hundreds of fires were started by lightning. There were approximately 12,000 lightning strikes that started 585 fires in the state over the past week. He said a total of 1.1 million have burned in the state, with more than 13,000 firefighters working the fires. Firefighters have been struggling to contain the massive blazes that have killed at least 4 people. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced on Saturday that the state has received a presidential major disaster declaration due to the fires burning in the northern part of the state. This means President Donald Trump released federal aid to supplement recovery efforts in areas affected by the wildfires. A Chinese health official on Saturday confirmed the country authorized emergency usage of COVID-19 vaccine developed by some select domestic companies on the 22nd of July. An emergency use authorization, which is based on Chinese vaccine management law, allows unapproved vaccine candidates to be used among people who are at high risk of getting infected on a limited period by first inoculating these special groups like frontline medical workers and civil servants. The move is to ensure that a city can keep normal functions when a health crisis strikes, the law stated. Similar authorizations have been legalized in many countries. For example, U.S. Food and Drug Administration allows unapproved medical products to be used in an emergency to diagnose, treat, or prevent life-threatening disease or conditions. The national agency has used several emergency use authorizations since the coronavirus outbreak as a way to get many diagnostic tests more quickly to the market than the normal procedures. That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today. Hope everyone is staying safe.